Crystal. It is your number one request show, and all the way till 7 p.m. I'm here with you to make you happy and to play you the songs that make you smile, the songs that make you dance. But also on the Hit Selector, I get to chat with very interesting personalities. And with me right now, I have radio legend, and I say larger than life personality, Alex Ndawula on Celeb Select. So welcome to the show.
First of all, when did you change from Angie to Crystal? That's what I remember when we first met a long time ago. You were Angie, but now you're Crystal. Now you can even... In fact, why should I be talking? Let Angie tell you how she became Crystal.
You're trying to change this now. You're trying to make me tell my story when we're here to listen to your story.
The story includes you, so now what?
Okay, real quick.
Okay.
My dad didn't want me on radio when I first told him.
Uh-huh.
So I said, okay, your daughter won't go on radio. Crystal went on radio.
Oh, you know the girl. Hey,
I used the other
Elias. Elias.
You're making me tell people my face. Look at you. Well, it's lovely to have you here at Sanyo FM.
Okay.
Pretty much kind of back where you started on the frequency that you actually started back in the day. Can you just tell us, before we even go into your story on radio, where you were born?
New York, New York.
New York, New York?
Yep.
Some people don't know that.
It's a long time ago. Don't ask me how many years, but it's a long time ago. Yes, now they know.
Okay, and your parents, were you all there at the time?
Yeah, my dad was in the embassy.
Mm-hmm.
He was third secretary.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was working at the UN, the United Nations, at the main place.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad got, were there, what? 8, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad got cancer and died.
Sorry.
My mom tried to continue, but then her father got a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is the eldest in her family of 18. So she decided to come back.
I'm sorry, you said 18.
Yes,
Wow.
same mother, same father.
Mm.
I look at while he was alive, I used to look at him and say, ay. 18. 18.
Wow. Okay, so I guess there was a lot of responsibility as the oldest. You said your mom was the oldest.
She was the eldest girl.
The eldest girl, okay.
Yeah, but responsibility, yes, that she had.
Okay.
So we came back, and she went straight to Makerere, which I should be calling Chalo, but it isn't. No one is ever buried at Makerere. You can't, even though if you stay at home, I've had a lot of friends. There are a lot of aunties and uncles who I call the same, but somebody looks, if they don't know me, they say, but how do you know an Easterner and you're calling them auntie? Did anyone marry in the East? Or did they marry in the West or in the North? But that I could maybe say life home, baby. I mean, life, because my mom started as a resident tutor, went to, and formally became warden, and on my mother's side, my grandfather was warden of Northcote Hall, now called... My mom's sister used to be in charge of School of Fine Art.
Whoa, okay.
No, basically, my mom's side, very academic. Yeah.
So Makerere University was pretty much home.
It was very much home.
Pretty much home.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you came back, which school did you go to? I mean, you are a U.S. citizen then, yes?
Yes, I am. But when I came back, I first went to Nakasero. This is coming back from New York. But in those days, there used to be a lot of dust.
Okay.
So I used to have very chronic asthma when
yeah.
I was a kid here.
Sorry.
So the doctor at that time, the big doctor at that time, I can't remember his name, said, take him to Nairobi and let's see how he does. Then he called me and tell me. So I went to Nairobi and, I was breathing. I used to get an attack nearly every 2-3 days. So when they took me to Nairobi, I was breathing like a madman. I was taking all the oxygen. So he said, leave him in a school there. And as we are Catholic, he said, well, put him in a school there. And the only schools, major schools in Nairobi, is St. Mary's School, Nairobi. And for the girls, Loreto Convent, Musungari.
Okay.
Valley Road, there are branches. But St. Mary's used to be one. Because most of the other schools, like Lenana and Nairobi, were Church of England. Or Church, I don't know if they say Church of, first we say Church of Uganda. I don't know about Kenyans.
Was it difficult for you being separated from your family then? I mean, it was for the right reasons.
Well, no. One of my aunties was practicing arts there. She is a kind of a celebrated artist. She was in Nairobi. She used to lecture in the university, Teresa Musoke. And she says, okay, if you can't come. But in those days, the plane was a bit cheap. So I could even come back for half term. There used to be a lot of Ugandans in the school I went to.
In schools in Nairobi.
They were much older. At least for me in St. Mary's, I have my classmate, Dennis Kavuma, the former rally driver. These were older guys like Emi Kato. They were all, it wasn't as bad as it is now. Nowadays...
So you were part of a Ugandan community?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. Half term, even though here in Uganda they don't do half term, but in Kenya they do half term 5 days. You go and catch East African Airways, and you come here for the weekend. So I also saw the jams. I saw the parties as well. So.
You didn't miss out on that bit.
And they have a long summer holiday, so-called summer holiday. So basically, it was the best of both worlds.
All right. Okay. So how long were you in Nairobi then?
I went to Nairobi up until senior 5.
Senior 5. And then you came back?
Yes.
Well, by then your asthma was better?
In between those P3 to S5, my mom said, you must be better. Let's try Kisubi. But for the first time in my life, I was out of the top 5. So my mom said, hey, you better go back. Go back. No, it was kind of shocking. So, they said, you go back to
Was it the
Nairobi.
change in education?
Yeah, but then
systems?
after that, until I came to, not really that the change was, it was just maybe the conditions.
Okay.
But S5, I then came to Namasagali.
Yes.
Because I have family friends older who have been there. So they said, which school is like St. Mary's, Nairobi? And they said, because we took him to Kisubi. And in fact, the year they sent me to Kisubi, there was a strike. So it was a bit scary. So they said, okay, send him to Namasagali. They have a kind of like an educational format like Nairobi.
That's
because
a bit
in
more
Nairobi,
open and flexible.
It was compulsory to do schools. They had school competitions in nearly every department, whether it was... So here we don't have it. I don't know why, or they've just died. But before, like I was a sportsman, I used to play rugby, which wasn't played in Uganda.
Okay.
And the good thing was that there was a very large Ugandan community at that time.
So how was Namasagali? Was it close to what you were? I mean,
you've heard a lot of stories, but
I've heard a lot of stories, but I think it was a very important time in your life.
I'll give you a very, I think, a conservative. For me, it was interesting in the beginning because for the first time in my life, I had yellow posho.
Okay.
And knew that before you were told hurry up for meals, but like when I was in Nairobi, they gave you a 3-course meal. Now I come to Namasagali, you have to run for food. If you don't run for your food, you might get the bottom layer, and that one has the stones and everything.
And it was compulsory. The meals were actually compulsory.
I mean, well, you have to eat if you're in Namasagali. So, I mean, in the beginning, I just thought you go to school, and after being in Nairobi, where you just have to come with your clothes, everything else, of course, buy the books, but everything else was catered for by the school. Then you're going to catch this bus at National Theatre, and you're carrying ghee, I don't know, margarine, you're buying food. And I said, and you see, my sister had gone there because, like, when she went, they lost her one paper when she was in old P7. So, like, they said, don't worry, you go to Namaskari, you get a good school.
Okay.
It's a good school. But for me now, it's coming and
you're like, what is going on here?
What's going on here? You know, it's like, why didn't you tell me to bring guns? But at the same time, we learned other things which are also beneficial to a person. Do not ask.
I'm thinking these are things that were not on the curriculum.
Listen, Munange, they've just taken off our SIM cards. Now you want to bring me, you want me to speak bad things on radio.
Okay, I'm now going to ask you for your first request. You asked for Pleasure Dome, Soul to Soul.
Well, look, okay, people, even though I got used to it long time ago because she's a professional in the profession I've been, Crystal, Angie asked me for my favorites, and I can't really put down favorites.
I know.
But I have big favorites, and these are one of the ones by Soul to Soul.
Okay.
Pleasure Dome.
Pleasure Dome. You were talking about your days in Namasagali and how you learnt very many things at Namasagali
that
were outside of the curriculum. And then you mentioned something about party life and how it kind of started there.
Okay, let's put it this way. Namasagali is in the... I have never seen any other school like Namasagali. People, you don't know what Father Graves did. He put a functional school in the bush where you have to meet on a daily basis. Snakes, crocodiles, embarrassasa, which are as long as you, hunger, and I have to give kudos where it should be. Father Grimes left an institution there at that time. I went there after, as I was telling you off air, I got there. I was scared. I mean, you're in buildings which should be demolished, the old railway line, and going there, and then with the curricula given to you, it made you, can I say, more of a person in the whole. You would meet people from elsewhere, and he had his rules. And there was also extracurricular things, of course, which you could be expelled for, but it was the fun.
The thing I noticed about Namasagali is it churned out people who were balanced. I think balanced, who knew how to get work done, but also knew how to enjoy life, I think, in all its different colors.
If I can interrupt, it's like people... it's something I keep telling people, that it's not just about books. You would go away, you have friends, now you've met new friends. You go away, you do something, even if you don't go, say, to campus, you could fend for yourselves. Like, I could tell you, truthfully, in the year I was in, we didn't have very many first divisions. But credit where it was due, nearly everybody in our class, at least, okay, some have died, I know, because of various issues. But, like in our class, everyone was working. Everyone, by the time they didn't go to campus, they didn't go to Nakawa, they didn't get scholarship. Basically, they stopped school, but they were surviving. They were working in the real world as it is, and that was something about Namasagali. So whereas you get somebody, and I'll tell you, I have also close friends from Kisubi, and the guy was first class, but when you meet him now, he's either an alcoholic, or druggie, or hasn't got a job. It depends on the quality of your education. At least for me, that's what I say.
Okay. So is that where your love for music started, or was it way before?
No, way before. When they sent me to Namasagali, they would send, to St. Mary's. Okay, it was a boarding school, but they would give you Saturday morning off. And when you're in the school, it was part of the school fees. You had pocket money. So I said, what do I do? I'd already bought, I was a table tennis freak, but I said, when I left Nakasero, when I went to the St. Mary's, I was into stamps. But stamps got a bit boring. So at the time, there was this equipment. Yes, you are a DJ, you are a presenter. There used to be a National Techniques. It was like a suitcase. But you could open this suitcase and it had a record player, and it had a cassette player, and it had a radio.
Ah, okay.
So my mom gave it to me for a present. So I started collecting music because my mom and my late dad used to like music. And at that time in primary, I used to have piano lessons, which I did until intermediate level. So I used to like music. I'd like listening to their music, and I'd like getting my new music. What were the big songs of the time when I was in primary? Wow, Barry White. I can't even remember. But it came from there. It was just a hobby.
So when did you actually start mixing music, or did you start by putting together, compilations?
When I was in A-level, by that time, the older guys I know, they're out there. You're listening to me, I know even some. They used to be on campus while I was still in S4. So they would tell me, hey, Alex, you bring your records. We want to use your records for our room party. Okay, take. And, they take them, they play for room. Yeah, that's great. And I get them back. After a while, they say, you come and you play them, because I actually was told for my age.
Okay.
So when I was even underage, I could get into room parties. But that's how I actually got interested in fact, one of them at the time, John Gasagara, I can also put in there Henry Gamba. They said, you come and help us with Angela. I said, I don't know DJing. But they said, no, you come, you know music, you will find your way. That's basically where I started.
Okay, wow.
That was in A-level.
So when you were done with A-level, what was the next step for you in your life?
Well, Nakawa. Nakawa did accounts. And as I was ending, because my mom couldn't support, so I had to work. So I started working. First of all, I decided, since I'm very good at art, and in Nairobi, the level they do of teaching art is much higher than Uganda's. So basically, I found myself able to be kind of like a public PA person. I could draw the advert, I would draw your forms. There was no computer those days. Those days you had to draw the nyukuta by hand. And after it wasn't managing because it wasn't regular. And then I worked with Lebanese, the guys who owned Biplus. And there was 1 hour photo over here right across the post office.
Yes.
I could use all the equipment they had brought, other than I didn't have to be a photographer, but I could do everything else like printing cards, engraving, which is why I say the school helped me, like I used to print cards, engraving. They had other things in there. All of that used to be my department.
Okay.
But after a while, the money wasn't enough. So when the people I've mentioned said, you come and try Angenois, Kololo Club, be a DJ. I said, but I'm not a DJ. But you have music. What's so hard?
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. Which I can say, yeah, that's what actually happened.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you for your next song. This one is Mercy, Mercy. What are we going to do about it? Crystal chatting with Alex Ndawula right now on a Celeb Select. And he was telling us how, becoming a DJ, it was just kind of trial and error in the beginning. You loved music and people were like, okay, just try it. And before you knew it, it became your life.
But you had to practice.
That's one of the things we've just been talking about, that there's a
It's
weakness
funny.
with a lot of young DJs now.
It's funny. It's like Kenya used to have the best DJs. And Uganda weren't that good. But like for me, when I started, in Nairobi, the DJs who would be in the club would even, as they're playing, they'd have a cassette player playing what they're playing, and they would sell those cassettes.
So they'll be recording as they're mixing.
If you're a customer and you say, "Oh man, you're playing good," there's a tape here. It's how much was that? I don't know, about something like 500, 600 bob.
That was the hustle right there.
But you could buy it. Okay. Like for me now, like they call them old school DJs, but I still feel they're some of the best in East and Central. I'll talk of Alberto, Shy. Very many have died, but they were not that old as people think. These were young guys. Alberto, Shy, even Barry. After you've played that night, you go and practice. Nowadays, people just think, you show me how to use Serato and I'm going to be like you. And you look at the person and say, you have to.
Because there's shortcuts now.
It's hard. It's like going to school and they teach you how to paint. But they can't teach you how to be a master.
You have to keep at it.
You have to work at it. Which is what a lot of kids, everyone just thinks that they can pay to be an instant DJ, and it's not like that. It's a choice of music. A choice of music means you have to know the music. In my case, when I started being a DJ, okay, there was the music of the moment, but then I'd start trying to find out, like I never used to know Zairwa. You go and ask, what songs are the big ones? You ask the older people, uncles, as I have told you, I'd even ask your dad, what's the big song? And you say, you play this song by Franco, and you learn it, and you listen to it. But nowadays, people just don't bother. It's why I would say truthfully, Sunny is I think maybe with the exception, I want to mention the competition, but you're the only guys who play R&B and hip hop now. Why? Because today's DJs, because the beats are hard, or at least in their heads they're hard, they won't play it. They can't be bothered to play.
Okay, because pop music kind of has the same beat and it's a lot easier to work with.
And it's something I know because I know your mom was a bit strict. She was strict, yes. You'd have to learn things. When you're a kid in school, you've got to learn things. Even though you're not going to do rugby. You get to know who are the stars in rugby internationally.
Yes.
Such that when you go on air, this is what's helped me with my career. That you don't have to have intrinsic knowledge, but you know something. If somebody comes up to you and says, let me in fact try you. Let me try you. Tell me about designer. Do you know designer? Tell me now. I'm asking you, Crystal.
You're
Tell
putting
me
me on
about
the spot.
designer.
Tell me
Yes.
about the musician.
Do you know about designer?
Yes.
Who is designer?
Well, he's a hip hop artist, right?
Where is he from?
Oh my God.
No.
Okay. But
This is
the
what the
general
internet is.
knowledge, knowledge, right?
There's general knowledge. To imagine, I wish that I had internet when I was growing up.
Well, yeah, it wasn't there. You had to read. You had to read.
But kids now, the internet is there for you. But do you think they want to read about what's going on? They'd rather go on WhatsApp and do gossip about the other one who was naked on Facebook. No, I'm sorry, but it's true.
Speaking of your career, radio has been a very big part of your life for the last, how many years were you on radio?
I've only done Capital 23 years.
23 years.
Even Sanyu, we started. For those who don't know, I am the original Sanyu boy. Yeah.
So how did that happen? First FM station.
Okay,
back then.
radio came out. And actually, there were two stations rushing to be the first station, private station. Sanyu and Capital. Sanyu came out first. How did I get to it? Emi Kato, for those who know the rally driver, okay, it was their station.
Yes.
So he told John, get Alex. Alex knows music. At the same time, Chris Ireland
Yes.
was there. So John just came to us and said, you come, I'm going to give you money. We said, to do what? Radio. For me, it was a childhood thing.
Okay.
Because I was when I was in primary, FM radio was also private in the UK. But at night, you were able to catch FM radio from the UK on shortwave. So you'd hear them at night. They all used to be Radio Carolina, Kiss FM, because they all used to be on boats on the River Thames. You know, they all used to be pirates. But you could catch them on shortwave at night.
Okay.
So for me, I had always thought, I would love to. So when John came and said, Emmy told me. So I said, this is, in fact, like for me, my bucket list is shortened. It was one of my dreams since a kid.
To be on radio.
So I said, let me do it. And then we joined with Chris Ireland. And what was so nice when we got together was Chris knew all the rock music, I knew all the R&B music. So it was easy.
The match made in heaven.
They had both the latest CDs, Radio Express, and very clean. It was in Musée, God rest his soul, house. And because he stayed on one side of
in the group.
But it was like, do your thing.
So you had the freedom.
Yeah, that time there was no prep, no guideline, just cola. That was it. That's how it started.
Okay, and then you were at Sanyu FM, and then you moved to Capital FM.
Yeah, you see, at the time when we started with Sanyu with Chris, we were the only two, and we had to play the whole day.
Those were crazy hours.
Yeah, I would start 6 to 10, then Chris would come in 10 to 1. Because we didn't have aircon like you have now, we had to let the machines cool down for an hour, 2 o'clock. And then Chris would continue from 2 to 4. I would do 6 to 8. And then Chris would have to finish the night and sleep the night in the studio.
Wow.
And then start the morning. Then I would follow him at 10 to what? It would just reverse until after a while they got Rasta Rob. Rasta Rob came after about a month.
Wow.
My friend.
Those were long hours.
So, and then first of all, the late Musée Kato's house was at the top of the hill. And they weren't paying us like, okay, some people don't think they're not being paid enough, but Munange, I started at 100,000 shillings. No housing, no benefits. That is what you got. But we agreed to disagree, and William Pike came and said, hey, why don't you come? And then he told me, come to Capital. And then he came and said, but if you come to Capital, you have to do the morning. But because I'm very into being informed, because that's how they told us in Capital after we got to a consultant. He said there are 3 precepts you should have when you get behind the mic. You should inform people, entertain people, and educate people. And you should be able to do it in 30 seconds minimum.
Breakfast show. Early hours. Waking up at 4 a.m., I think, pretty much. 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. 5 used to get up at 5.
Or even late, because I was still playing in the clubs a lot.
So you were doing late night clubs, then going on air in the morning.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, it was hard until I insisted, you people, if you want me to do this morning show, you pick me up.
Okay, then that made it easier.
But I was still trying to insist on club, because I do that very well.
Mm-hmm.
I still do it, but at that time, bit difficult. First of all, I had to do it myself. I used to come. I start off very well,
Mm-hmm.
and then I said, "Let me take a dose," and I would dose for the rest of the show. Even if you slapped me, I wouldn't wake up.
I think a lot of things are
No,
probably becoming clear.
Things balanced out
Eventually.
with Christine. Christine, I still consider the best partner ever.
Best partner ever.
Ever.
Are you still very close?
Yes, we are.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yes, we
nice.
are.
So your years on radio, that's a long, long, stellar career.
Yes.
I mean, what did you learn about the industry itself, about yourself as a radio presenter?
No, it gave me discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Being on time, trying to say the most things in the shortest time with the fewest words.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot. Because of radio, let me see. I've been to Canada, US, SA, France, UK, Belgium, Kenya. No, I think it's made me do things I don't think I would have done if I didn't do radio.
Wow. Okay.
I've seen the biggest stars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the biggest star ever I've seen was Montel Jordan, who had to bend down in our studio.
He was massive.
I've seen
6'6", if I remember.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the
Next song, maybe you should tell me which one it is.
Shabazz.
Okay, Shabazz.
My favorites while I was in. Actually, I was somewhere over the weekend, and a guy who supplies me music, because I still collect music, played it, and somebody said, "Alex, do you remember when we were in Echoes?" I said, "You're the only one who has played it." I said, but it's one of my favorites, actually.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Shabazz, I'm glad you're in my life.
Yes, indeed.
I'm glad you're in my life. I'm glad you're in my life.
One of the things, especially as a personality you are, through the years we've read about you in the papers, we've followed your life, and of course we learned about Drew, your ex-wife now. How did you meet? Was it through work back then?
Yeah, it was.
It was through work. Mm-hmm.
I kept staring. In the, when you do the morning show, like, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, after years of doing it so much, coming off, as I'm talking immediately after, it's like coming off a high. I have never done drugs, but it's like, but you get it, so you're there, you're chilling and you're checking out. You got to see what's happening. And today's, can I say, youth, the next generation, first of all, you have to remember they never saw war. They've never seen a war. They've never seen shortages like you have and I have. And yet, they have more they have more access, 10 times more than we ever had. Like, these days, you don't even have to buy records. You just download it off the web. It doesn't even cost that much to get music. You can find out what's happening elsewhere. And I must say it, and for those who are the new millennium, I'm sorry, but you guys, you need to style up. Yeah? Even if you're looking for styles and what is happening, trends, it's all there for you. You've got DSTV, you've got the internet, which now streaming is accessible here in Uganda. But I remember one time when you were downloading one song in Kampala, it took the whole day.
For one song.
One song.
And now you have access to everything.
10 minutes and you are there styled up. It's something I keep emphasizing when I meet maybe younger people. They want something. It doesn't have to be DJing. It can be anything else.
Okay.
But there's what they call focus. You've got these things. They're everywhere. Mobile. I remember we had to. Alex, where are you going? I'm going to town. What are you going to town for? I want to call our uncle who's in the UK. To come all the way to post office to make a call to the UK. Now here you just pick up your mobile.
phone, and it's so much easier now.
I wonder what's going to happen to all of us who have not registered our SIM cards now.
Well, if you're trying to call Alex, I think you'll find him on
Monday.
Facebook
Monday.
now. Even that, no?
Smile. My smile, they said, "One of the registered a SIM card." So Monday.
Maybe. Okay, so Alex,
Yeah.
you said you met Drew at Capital and you
Yes.
were working together.
Yes.
And I remember you dated for actually a very, very long time.
Yes.
Was that because you didn't believe in marriage, or was it you decided no, that wasn't
It wasn't
a
in
priority?
my head.
It wasn't.
Yeah, this is my partner. I don't know.
Because there's that
People-
debate right now. Some people believe that, marriage is like a dead institution.
No, it was just that it wasn't in my head, but I don't want to go to the details, but in certain circumstance, I said, okay, you can come and stay at my place. And that staying at my place became 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And I looked and I said, what the hell am I? Because one thing she found out, because she also didn't grow up here.
Okay.
She grew, but she found out as we got to know each other, she realized, hey, even her aunties knew me before I knew her, before she knew me.
Oh, okay.
Like the family, they knew my mom, the friends were the same. So why not?
So
Yeah, it was, that's how it just came to be. So I did the first wedding in Kampala, which was out of church. Which was at Munyonyo, at Sudia's.
Speakers of
Sudia just
Munyonyo.
said, here, I've given you Munyonyo. Have the wedding. And I remember that after we had our wedding, everyone was always coming up to Capital. Excuse me, Kakati, what do we have to do to have our wedding outside church? Oh my God! Now it's now it's like a party. But at that time, I had to go. First of all, she was Protestant. I was Catholic. I had to go and convert her. I was lucky that also in my family, I have very many members of the Catholic Church, Knights of the Papal Order. I was happy that I have grown up with best friends like Oscar Kihika, who railroaded it through the Ministry of Justice. Yeah, I mean, it was
So you were able to find your way through.
like, no, for me, I'm a bit of a stickler. I don't like having matitiza in my life. Don't give me headache, please. Let's do this thing one day, chop, 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 and it's done, and we move on.
Now you got together. You were together for many years. Then you got married. Then unfortunately, things didn't really work out. But as someone who was always in the public eye, it seemed like the whole world was following what was going on in your relationship.
That's the problem.
How did you handle that?
No, that is the problem. It has always been the problem. It's even like when we made our agreement with Capital last week, and I decided I'm not going to go through details. I want to know where that Prado is. Apparently, I got a Prado. They haven't yet delivered it to me, if you just want to know. And the instant 30 million, I did have a good package, but the instant 30 million, our especially social media in Kampala, they're very responsible. They say things, and I can state categorically, it gave a bit of a problem with that, because today they say anything, and then people say, "No, talk it about in red paper." It is true.
Yes, and they believe it. They believe whatever is.
In the beginning, I used to be really annoyed about it and try and fight it. Actually sued some, and we settled out of court. But then after a while, you get to learn. I learned by meeting other stars in other countries. Sometimes you just ignore.
You just ignore and leave
You
it.
just live your life. If you want to believe what the stuff they're throwing at, that's their problem.
There was a time, though, that you were sharing what was happening in your heart, also on social media.
Hey,
You
the
were-
moon too. You can't have emotions.
You were posting and talking about, especially after the breakup. How are you doing now?
No, I mean, I I have good support.
You have
That's
good
all I can say.
support.
Good friends, good working colleagues, good family.
Mm-hmm.
They just said, move on, Alex. And I happen to be resilient because even though I owe everything to my mom, who has brought us, me and my sister up, a lot of the people have told me how to fend for myself. I haven't had help from above or handouts. I've had to do it alone, actually.
You said even from school you had to work to
Yeah,
support
I mean,
yourself.
at one time, I can tell you things like, have you ever walked from Entebbe?
No.
No, okay. Now,
Entebbe to
I've
Kampala.
left school. I had no money. I had to get to work to play in Clouds. And I did. Now, if I was in Nairobi, it wouldn't have been a problem. I could do hitchhike. Uganda, they don't know these things. Mbuchi, hitchhike, put your finger out, your thumb out to the road, and we stop for you. Do I know you? Do you know me? Sweet. Next thing I knew, by the time I've realized I've walked from Entebbe to Kampala. There are things like that. My mom taught me how to be very self-reliant. Like by about P6, P7, I used to catch a plane by myself to go to school in Nairobi. How to pack my things. There are things like that throughout life. I've learned how to be self-reliant. It's basically me self-reliant. In the beginning, you get mishaps, but after a while, you get to know what to do. Such that, you get on and do it. Because the only one who will do it for you is yourself.
That's true. That's true. So now you have decided to take the next step, I guess. You've left radio and everyone is wondering.
You see, this is what I said. Our media is very irresponsible.
Well, they said you retired from...
Who is they?
Okay, the media.
Who is they?
Okay, you tell us.
I'll put this out there. I've just left Capital. I've got options.
Okay.
Right now, I'm just chilling out.
You're chilling.
Chilling. No, it's only been about a month, 5 weeks. I've just left Capital, but people had already said that I've resigned. Similarly, I've retired.
No, I think people are just wondering, okay, what your plan is, what you're going to do next, where they can find you, where they can listen to you mixing.
As I've said, thanks to UCC, you can contact me, I think, on Monday as I register my phone. No, let's just put it, Crystal, there's a side of life, and I do not know why. I'm sure you, your husband, and your lovely kids also know. There's something which is for you and them. Why do you want to know the name of my children? No.
Everything.
Now
yes.
I have options.
So
Let me just put it that I've stopped at Capital. I have not retired. I have options.
Okay.
I'm about to enjoy them. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming
You're welcome.
on Celeb Select. It's been a pleasure hosting you.
And the people do. I don't think you heard it, maybe because you didn't hear the beginning. We're here talking, but I also remember how when she used to have an afro. Crystal.
Yes.
And I'm just reminding you people. So
I
don't
was
think.
the original naturalista
So
back
as
in the
I
day.
understand on FB, I understand. In fact, all of you used to wear palm. You all had afros, had wonderful afros, which were original. Nowadays, she's stylish with this zungu hair.
I have
I'm
to be
telling
very
you.
careful who I invite in here. They're unleashing my things.
Yes, they even used to come and see me because I just left school also. They would come, stop by, and we'd chat, maybe go and have ice cream. Yes, ice cream was nearby the place I used to play. So when you hear me talking to Crystal, it's not like I'm talking to some small child. We're all the same age. Thank you.
Well, that's not true exactly. But Alex, just one last thing.
Wow.
I mean, you've had a long career on radio, DJing in the public eye. What
Yeah.
have you learned about yourself? What advice can you give in terms of your journey? What you've learned?
It took me a long time. I used to have a very bad temper. And you have to realize when you're talking to the average person on the street, you have to be very patient, very patient. That's one thing which taught me patience. It taught me how to focus faster. Like now, for me, it's I looked one day. I was doing something. I won't say what I was doing, but the person, hey, you've done it so quickly. I mean, it's like how they say about DJ. Many people think it's easy. Serato, I've got the program. The program. It's not that. It's about you've got to learn what the music you're playing. I mean, you're on radio. How long have you been on radio? What about you? You know that. And you should apply it to everything else. I mean, it's not that, oh, I've finished Essex or I've finished campus. I don't need books anymore. Doctors, even up to now, they may have graduated 30 years ago. They're still learning new things. Doctors, lawyers, new rules, what. And I just suggest to the new millennium, as they call this new group of people coming up, it's not just paying. You've got to instill something. It's why I know there are guys who don't like me, because I'll come up and I'll play the new music as well as the old music which we are listening to. Why? Because I look at charts, I check out what's trending. Not because I want to do it on the radio or I want to do it in a club, but I know because my mom told me, if you do anything, do it to the best you can. All the rest will follow.
Okay.
So when I came onto radio, it wasn't that I wanted to be the most popular. I wanted to be the best on radio that I could be. And all the rest followed.
True. Well, your last song is Steve Walsh, I Found Loving.
Yes.
What about
the
this
ultimate
song?
party song? You what? UK, I was in UK when that song came out. It's actually a copy of the original, which was done by the Fatback Band. Still played today. I know in Kampala, though these new DJs don't know such, still a very big song up today. For those boys who don't know, you can remember the name. Steve Walsh, he was a DJ also on the radio as well. And he died in a Rolls Royce. Yes, he was that rich. He was a DJ. One of the very fat. Actually, he died because he was too fat. But he was a big DJ, especially for clubs in the UK. And he had an accident in his own Rolls Royce. And because he was too fat, he died. Which was sad, but that's the biggest song he ever did. Very big guy on the radio. One of my heroes, if I say one
of the
them.
people you looked up to.
Yeah, I looked up to him, yeah.
Okay. I Found Loving. Alex, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming. We'll catch up again soon.
Everybody in the house, are you ready to rock together? Here we go.